Jesus freak here. Okay, I had a little bit of a foot and mouth moment this morning. And I'm going to leave it up because I don't feel like there's anything I should hide, even if it might not have been, you know, I do these videos off the cuff. I don't often think about what I'm saying. And we often wind up saying things that end up with our feet in our mouths. See, most of you have other people you can use as sort of a reference. I use myself as a reference because I'm the only reference I have. I don't really have friends or family outside of the internet, and whether you can consider that, I mean, yeah, my dad's out there, I'm still somewhat in contact, but, you know, realistically, I don't really have friends or family out there besides the internet. And so I don't really have a point of reference outside of myself because I keep to myself a lot. So if I'm using myself as a reference, it's not because that's my intention. It's because I'm all I have to go by. But I probably shouldn't have brought that up. Now, regarding Charlie Kirk, I don't know what he believed, what he didn't believe. I've been hearing things on both sides. You know, people claiming this, that, bad thing about him. People making him out to be this perfect man of God who never did anything wrong. And I'm like, you know, realistically, the truth is going to be somewhere between that. Nobody's perfect, least of all me. All I had specifically to go on at that point remember, most of when left-wing media talks about Charlie Kirk, they were talking about him as his politics, and of course left-wing media is going to distort things to make the right look bad, and right-wing media is going to distort things to make the left look bad. I'm not going to simp for Ground News. I've never used them, but they claim to try to even that out. But I will say this. We have had a serious problem with the media lately. On both sides. I'll admit it. I've found problems with channels like Jesse Dollimore, David Pakman, the Young Turks, Midas Touch, which I used to, that used to make probably 75% of what I watched on YouTube, and now I don't watch them much at all. Frankly, there is much of a problem sometimes when it comes to politics as the likes of Fox News and Newsmax on the other side. That's why we ended up the way we did last November, was because everyone was so convinced. We can't lose, we can't lose, we can't lose. Yeah, you got creamed. Or should I say we got creamed, because that's the side I was on. And the same thing happened in 2016. We were so convinced we had it in the bag, and we got creamed because of a left-wing echo chamber. And then the opposite happened in 2020. There were people who were so convinced they had it in the bag. And then Biden won and they melted down because of the right-wing echo chamber. So if I don't have enough information, I'm trying to rely on stuff that's not so echo chambery, even if it is still left wing, because, that's the side of the aisle I'm on. Like I said, I don't think. I was just talking about the fact that people were crowing about, oh, he died as he lived. I said, yeah, maybe it was what you'd call a karmic death, but that doesn't justify what happened to him. Nobody deserves to be shot. That's what I was trying to focus on, but I went off on a screed about far right politics. That's why I called it a rant, because it was a rant. Yes, a lot of the reasons I tend to be left leaning are selfish. I back them up with my faith. I'll admit that they're ultimately selfish. I mean, everything a person does is ultimately selfish. You could say, even someone converting to Christianity is ultimately committing a selfish act because they're doing it to get to heaven, which is to better themselves. Maybe that's a bit of a daft way to put it, but I mean, think about it. Yes, using myself as an example of someone who's got to worry about being stomped down by the government, it's not a good idea. It was not a good idea. I probably should have referred to those people who, unjustly got whisked away to CCOT, sometimes in violation of court orders, like Abrego Garcia, who specifically had a court order saying he couldn't be deported to El Salvador and got deported to El Salvador. Or people like Irina, what's her name? I can't remember what her last name was. A Ukrainian refugee that was knifed to death in, I believe it was Charlotte. Which one of the Carolinas is that, anyways? I'm just speaking off the cuff here. But of course, that's proof, first of all, that we have a serious mental illness problem, and that a solution that my side often posits for the mass murders, take away the guns, that's not a solution, because he didn't use a gun. But the guy was clearly a schizophrenic and really needed to be in a mental ward. But no one wants to do anything about that. I think it was when I was a kid, they started saying, oh, let them all loose because we don't want to spend the money to keep them up. I mean, maybe it was for the better. I mean a lot of nurses are in the profession for the wrong reason, and put them in charge of a mental hospital. You're asking for trouble. Still, some people just need to be off the street. Someone who's been in trouble with the law 14 times is hearing voices who think, he thinks the woman in front of him is trying to read his mind. Like, there's something clearly wrong with him before the fact that he's got a knife out, ready to kill someone because of his delusions. What is his name? DeCarlos Brown or something like that. I don't get into it too much because it make me sound bad, and because you're talking about a black person that killed a blonde white woman. That's frankly irrelevant to the situation. Those probably would have been better examples to use. And I probably should have mentioned the whole problem with some of the shootings we've had earlier. We talk about, we put the cops up on pedestals. Remember Uvalde? The cops were too chicken to go in and do their jobs. Like, if you're a cop, why are you too afraid to do your job? And every time there's a shooting, we hear excuses for the shooter, and we hear the same people trotting out their lame Mabonfa excuses. Oh, we can't do anything. That's just the way it is. It's a natural, necessary I swear some of these people, I said it in the last video, I'm going to repeat it. Milcom, Molech. Too many people in America that's what guns are to them. Not just an idol, but an idol they're willing to sacrifice children to. That's what I was trying to say. But because I do these videos off the cuff, I ended up sticking my foot in my mouth. We got to get better. Myself included. Jesus, freak out. Gotta stop that thing from